This is NDTV, and you're watching Classics.
Mr. Kamal Hassan, welcome on Talking Heads. Let me start by asking you, Hey Ram, is this Kamal Hassan's most ambitious project?
That's what I would believe when I start a project. And then sometimes the project, after it's released, then you say, well, I'll make a better film next time. Then there are some films which you walk in knowing it's going to be good, and then it grows. Hey Ram is one such film where after the first few days on the sets, you knew that you were in for various kinds of reactions for this film. Good, bad, and mostly exceptional one from the audience. That you get a gut level feeling.
Mr. Kamal Hassan, is Hey Ram an attempt to demystify Gandhi?
I mean, apart from demystification, which has happened in my life, I mean, icon bashing is an international sport which everyone indulges in when they are young, you know, and yet to attain an ideology or accept anything at all. So I'm no exception. So like all maverick Indian youth, I was a Gandhi basher. You have to say something against what is revered, then you get what do you call a reflective halo around your head. So reflected halo, as I call it. So I think it's quite a silly state of mind. I've been through that. And then you outgrow and forgive these icons, or they become your heroes. He ceases to be an icon anymore. He has now become a model out of which we'll have to, a mold out of which we have to make many more now. We'll have to inject this mold into a psyche. It is there, it's already there. He's highly criticized, worshipped. Both are wrong. He's hated and worshipped. Both are wrong. I think the time has come to look at this gentleman with equipoise. Correct him if you feel he's wrong. He's open to that. That's what one would deduce from all his writings. Astounding personality. Not because it's a said thing. Great people have said great many things about this gentleman, but he is still a useful thinker for this millennium as well.
So what does the film try to explore? Is it just a period film, or are you trying to...
It's about a man, and it's not about just Gandhiji. Gandhiji is a driving force. He is like the horizon in the film. But it's about a man called Saket Ram. His travel through India of that time. And I chose him from a community which I was born in, though I don't practice all the rituals and religions that they indulge in. But I chose that community intentionally so that I will be as honest as possible, root onwards. And that's where I've taken the protagonist of this film is a Tamilian Brahmin, even in the Hindi version. It's owning up the country as mine. It's asking the rest of the country to own up the rest of the country.
So have you tried to say something through the film?
Yes, whatever I thought is best said at this moment.
And what is that?
I think the film would say it. Nothing is actually said. I feel a bit like a postman, but most of the things are said. It's nothing, and if you say it, it's like certain great messages should not be vulgarly said. It has to be left subcutaneous, like love. You keep saying it, it loses its. So most of the things are subcutaneous, and it's cliche. What's the best thing you ask a woman? You say, will you marry me? Will you bed me? Do you love me? If you say it all in a hurry and say, this is what I'm going to meet you, we got half an hour, I'm going to ask you these 3 questions. So you can't rush it. It has to happen probably through the eyes probably a careless, a stutter, anything.
Do you also feel that, Hey Ram is an attempt to internationalize Indian cinema, because it has been made keeping the international market in mind?
No, I have enough population here. If I could make a film for India and make it work, and if the government will only understand that this is a strong enough industry, all governments, I mean, I just don't mean the center, and if the government will understand this, that this dog doesn't need such a huge chain and a leash. The reason is the dog fends for itself. They don't feed it well. And now they want obedience as well from it. You can't. But I can assure you this dog doesn't bite unnecessarily. So if left alone, Indian film industry will become international on its own. But who leaves it alone? They keep tampering with it. They keep puncturing holes in its income. It's not treated like any other industry.
Coming back to the film, even before its release, it's created its round of controversy back in Tamil Nadu, and it might just spill over to a national controversy. Are you ready for?
Yes, because I know what the film is, and even those who started the controversy have sheepishly backed out now, because they know what they said is not a criticism at all. Because they now came to know that they're trying, they wanted to lay their hands on the script, and something very strange happened, which is unbecoming of the censor board, which is sown to secrecy. Some of the members ran up to the press and released the whole story, and what are the shots that they cut. They wanted to say, we did our job kind of thing, but it's unethical thing to do. That was done, that unethical thing sort of cleared the air a bit, but it is still an unethical thing to do for a censor board to go on like that. They have asked me for a letter. They said we'll have an inquiry. An inquiry will only bring up a culprit, but the crime was committed against my film. So in a way, these things have been happening, and I think it will more pleasant controversy and better solutions will come out of this film.
Mr. Kamal Hassan, your first film, Chachi 420, which you directed, was By Default. Your second film, which you started, Mardanayagam, you've stopped out of choice for the moment. This is your first complete film as a director by choice. Has it been a learning experience for you?
Of course, every film of the 200 that I've done has been a learning experience. You can never lean back with complacency and say, yes, I'm a complete actor or a complete director. I came into the industry to become a director, not an actor. It's a pleasant accident that happened, and which made me an affluent victim. So I'm quite happy, I'm not complaining.
After 200 films and more than half a dozen awards and honors from all over the world, does acting still excite you?
Yes, I haven't started doing the right stuff yet, so it does excite me. I'm catering within limited parameters for limited market. So what happens to a street side bard when you take him to a courtroom, give him a marble seat, and he would only perfect his Iliad and give a better performance for the kings, because he's already done it in the street level. So I think if the parameters are in, I'm not talking about more money. I'm very happy. As I started as a small-time actor, I promised myself the day I get 1 lakh, I'll do 1 film at a time. I far exceeded that income, far exceeded that income. And then I said, if I don't do it now, I'm like any other smuggler or a counterfeit man or a gangster who's just sucking off the business. So I said, if I love it that much, I must give as I have taken. So I said the best thing is I'm too small to give anything to a big industry like cinema. So I said I'll give time for myself. which itself is a great donation if you can do it. Take care of yourself. And I made that decision about 12 years back, and I've only done one film at a time from then on.
At the height of your career, when you were the superstar, you have taken risks. So is taking risks an inherent part of your character?
Spectrum of your vision, how broad or how narrow it is. When you say height, it confuses me. Now suppose you say at your peak. Now what do I decide as peak? It's not a mountain. It's where you climb and you see the horizon. No way up, no more climbing to do, and that becomes the summit. But in this business, you only know you've come high. You don't look up because it's a haze. You don't see how far to go. There might be nothing up there, but then, so when you say, let's say I did Apuraja, if I think that I've done it all, then what a fool I would have been, or Nayakan, or Tevar Magan, or any of the films. If I stop there and say, well, I have done it, no more things to do, I would have lived a wasted retired life. So it's a good film. Hey Ram is a good film, but I wouldn't like to call it a pinnacle, even if it is. Which means I have started deteriorating. After this film, I'll start deteriorating. It's a good film, probably one of the very best I have made.
And what about your dream project, Madanaigam? I mean, you started that film, and it suddenly stopped.
Not suddenly. Thanks to a nuclear bomb, it stopped. It's exactly stopped because of that. No one will believe it till I say so. Because I've got a fax from America which says, sorry, we pull out of the project. We were almost, pen was poised over the document, and I was in London. I would be flying the next day to America to sign the document. Everything was falling in place. Everything was accepted. $6 to $4 million was the discussion. And the Pokhran blast, and they pulled out, and I was already committed. Now they say, yeah, now that it's all straight, sanctions are off. But then what happened at that time? Stalls a film. I lost something like about 70 lakhs, which I had given as advances to European actors. There's a pay or play contract. So they didn't play, they got paid.
So what is the status of the film right now?
It's 30 minutes ready. I did all the portions which I can do, the earlier portions. So I can even age a bit if it doesn't matter. It wouldn't ruin the continuity of the film. It's in stages of a man.
So where does the film start again now?
I have one more film commitment to do. And now when I meet Mr. Carrier in January, we'll finish the total French version, and the French financiers or the American, whoever it is, will move in, and ball will start rolling again. So the day I decide, yes, it's Madanaigam from now on, it'll take another 6 months.
You also come from an area and from a background which is very film related. A lot of your family members are into films, if not, that's later.
I was the very first person from a family of lawyers to enter cinema. My brother Chandra Hassan did a stint while he was doing law discreetly without telling the parents. He was an assistant director. So in a way he could be called the first person in the film industry. Then he backed out.
So when you decided to do films, was it a difficult choice?
Me?
When you decided to do
films? No, when I didn't decide, it just happened. I was 3 when I came into films. I'm an adopted child of cinema. There's nothing else I know.
Okay, in Hey Ram also, your daughter makes a debut.
No, it's not a debut. We always make the children do small roles, walk in the street as what you call an extra person on the street. likewise, suddenly my wife came up with this idea of, Patelji's daughter was the one who reminded Gandhiji that he was late for the meeting on the fatal day. I said, yeah, I know that. We don't have a daughter, but doesn't matter. That's not part of the story. But she would be working with him. I didn't get to know what's the point. It's not there in the script. And she said, but we have a daughter she could play. I said, now the mother's asking for a chance. Okay, we were joking, and that's how my daughter was made as Patel's daughter. That's just one shot in the whole film. She just walks through. But she has done something much more interesting in this film. She's sung the title song with me in the film. It's called Ram, Ram, Assalam, Ram, Ram. So she has sung it along with me.
Mr. Kamal Hassan, you also come from a state where there's a very close interrelation between politics and films. And you haven't ever dabbled in politics. Was that a conscious choice? Do you want to stay away from politics completely?
Yes. I don't think I can run a provision store either. Well, the cocky answer is I'd say I'm not that good an actor. That's what I keep saying. It's so boring an answer now. The reason is I don't have the training, temperament, nor the aspiration to become a politician. It's like any other business. I don't want to do that business. It's money making. So I'm quite happy where I am. Probably I'll make many more crores, but I prefer this honest living.
And what about your attempts in the Hindi film industry? You have been doing off and on a few Hindi films.
When I felt it would become a good Hindi film as well. We've not done all films into Hindi.
But most of your films are remade into Hindi.
Because whenever I wasn't sure of the arena when I was, and like Virasat, like BB number 1 was produced by my company.
Like Nayakan.
Nayakan, it was remade. Virasat was done by us. We've also made from Hindi. Like I took Govind Elani Saab's Drokal and made it as Kurdi Punal, which means river of blood. It was based on Govindji's script, most of it. But it had another path of travel.
So Hindi cinema, is it something which still excites you?
Yeah, more audience. That's my excitement. More people, more criticism, more noise, more money.
Okay, what about ambitions? What about dreams? What about something which you really want to do right now after having done so much?
Release this one. That's good enough ambition. Short-term goals are better. Don't stretch the goals too far away. Then so many. Murphy is a great lord who delivers all the time. So Murphy, as in Murphy's law. So I would prefer to set short-term goals. My ambition now is to release it and see to it that it's supported well all through the way. It needs no great support, but careful grooming is needed as it hits the screen.
Okay, one last question, Mr. Kamal Hassan. Are you a nervous man today? Because this film you've given birth to, from the conception, from the idea to execution, now to everything else. So is there a certain amount of nervousness still in you of how people would react to a film like this?
They've already reacted. Some of my friends have seen it. Some politicians have seen it, for obvious reasons. But I've seen their reactions, and it's as predicted. It's a good film, so being nervous is not going to help. It's a very good film. It's a commercial film. Unlike people might think that Gandhi ke baare mein ye to art film hoga kind of a thing. That idea has been done away with. First people thought songs hai picture mein, kind of a thing, you know. Now they know that it is a film. I mean, I'm in this business, and I'm not doing it for a golden bear or a peacock or any such thing. My audience, the loud applause and the ringing of the till, that matters to me.
Okay, one last question, sir, that why do actors turn producers?
In my case, it was natural expansion of exerting my will. That's the only way you can do the things you want. Some might do it for survival, shield, protection, whatever. It's just a floating device. For some it's a weapon. In my case, it's a weapon. It's a threatening weapon. To round it off, it's protection, self-protection of some sort.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kamal Hassan, for joining us on Talking Heads, and we wish you all the best for Hera.
Thank you.